Darbi.
I'm Kaitlin, and today we have Adam Anderle with us.
Yay!
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. It's an honor. You guys didn't even think to call me, so glad to be
You
here.
were one of the first we thought of for
Truly.
this next series. Adam is really involved in our community here in Graham. He has Kramer Construction, KC Dumpsters. He's involved at Oak Street Baptist Church. He's got a sweet, beautiful family that I call my family. Adam's wife is my cousin. So I guess I'll claim you.
That's right.
You claim me too? A bonus. I know. I know.
And if I have to claim Mason, you have to claim me.
Oh, fair.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. Thanks for joining us, Adam.
Yeah,
Can't wait to
absolutely.
chat with you. Man.
Well, Adam, the reason we really just thought of you immediately as we've been interviewing different men in the community that are successful in business, but also successful in faith, right?
Yeah.
Like your walk in the Lord is just so inspiring. How you lead your family, how you lead at church. It's evident that you love the Lord and how you lead in so many different areas. And I just want to have you share a little bit about how did you come to walk with the Lord and what leads you in that, guides you?
Yeah, well, I came to Graham probably 11, 12 years ago now. Growing up, I always knew Jesus. I always knew God. I actually grew up in the Catholic faith.
Okay.
I never really knew anything about a relationship, and I came here actually to work for Kramer Construction through family ties that brought us here. And just getting to see Lane, Caitlin's dad, just how he led and how he loved the Lord and, how he was different. I came from the Army, so if you know about the Army, it's pretty rough and tough. And there's a lot of hard love. There's not any true love that you really receive there. And I actually came to know Christ, I'd say, through Lane's actions, and then I came to this building actually, to Ken Freeman, I believe is when it was Cross Timbers at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I'll never forget, he said, I think it was the first day that he came, he said, if your heart stopped beating, would you be in heaven?
Oh.
I mean, I've heard of heaven. I would love to be in heaven. I don't know that though,
Sure.
So how do I know that?
Yeah.
And obviously it's through the gospel and it's through Jesus Christ. And I understood that day and accepted Christ and really hadn't looked back since. Probably changed. I'd say 180 degrees the way my thoughts were and my actions, and it's been great. I mean, those changes. One thing that my wife and I we chose to do a discipleship program at our church, and probably I think I was talking with Darbi before, but that's when we went from knowing the Lord to serving the Lord and being a servant.
Yeah.
Not just at church, but in the community and in the environment that we're in, wherever we are. My biggest goal is I'm a very big people person, and my biggest goal is to make sure the people I come in contact with hopefully see Jesus in me. I mean,
that's great. So that's
my
simple.
actions probably more than my words, because I'm not very good with those. But that's kind of my walk, how I became saved, and why I do what I do and how I do it. I just love it. I hope others feel the same way I do. That's what I want.
I did not know that Ken Freeman was the guy that kind of put it in perspective for you. Ken was he was an evangelist that traveled around, right? Very, it reminds me of Guy Fieri. Didn't he have, bleached blonde hair?
Yeah.
He was, a huge personality.
Yeah, he did.
He had his T-shirt said, "Heaven, yes, hell, no." I mean, I just remember we were like, who is this man? But I remember, man, it was 4 days that we came and listened to him every night, and it was just, he was powerful.
Yeah, you guys invited me and Jenny both, and we came the first time, and we came back every night after,
Oh, wow. And just that question of wow, if it stopped right now, what would happen to me? that is a game-changing question.
Oh, absolutely.
And I love that you made that decision right then.
Yeah, it's all before you. You feel like, oh, if I'm good, if I do the right things, if I just live a good life, I hope I get to heaven.
Yeah.
And then when you put it in that perspective, and you realize, hey, this has nothing to do with what you're doing and how you do it to get there. You know, it's all about Him, and make that commitment and never look back. And then the assurance of salvation through the scriptures and holy moly, that just really tops it off. You know, you know you're in the right spot.
So tell me a little bit more about once you had that moment where you thought, okay, I'm not sure that I'm going to be in heaven. I want that. So that's gospel, that's salvation. But then what did it practically look like for you to walk that out? So after you left, you go back home, you go back into life. How did you then begin to really create and cultivate a relationship with the Lord?
Yeah, and I kind of led to that when I talked about the discipleship program and mentorship program. We did that through our church at Oak Street, but I was actually with Pastor Joe, and she did it with another lady in church. And you just kind of go through how to read scripture, how to pray, those daily routines that you need to train yourself in, just like you train yourself for anything else. I mean, you have to create those habits and build your faith, because if you don't do that, you're just going to wind up kind of falling back and kind of putting your faith on a back burner is the way I see it. You're not giving it up. You're just kind of not making it priority, you know. And so really through that discipleship program, creating those habits, and then bringing them to our house, and trying to incorporate that in the daily life. I mean, a lot of people, when I tell them, they may think this is kind of funny, but I do not listen to any other music except Christian music on my radio since the day I was saved. Wow. The only time I listen to something different on my radio was if I'm in a car with somebody else or anything like that.
That's a good tip.
And that's a big thing for me, like it's really huge at changing my life, because where I was at my life at that point was not listening to Christian music, and that has been a great thing. I mean, you got to love to worship the Lord. I mean, when you're driving a piece of equipment or a truck or whatever it is, it just kind of sets the tone for whatever's going on. And I'm kind of like Jack. I came from the Army. I had a hard knock. I didn't use the right words that I needed to be using. And that just changed, you know. And it's thanks to Him. I mean, but you incorporate that stuff into your life. You put it into your business. The way you lead, the way you present yourself and your businesses, and you just put Him first. I mean, you give it to Him. You pray. You try to be. You try to just make sure He's always at the front. My wife and I, Jenny, which she's keeps me going most of the time. I mean, believe it or not, but she's awesome, and she's always in Scripture, and she's always learning, and she's always quick to give me a little snippet on a phone message or something that just will turn your day back to Him, instead of for us, and that's what's great about it. I mean, it's just once you get that feeling, once you see what the Lord does for you and changes in you, you don't want to go back. You don't care. It's just once you have that moment, it's life changing, and you may think, but it's like bam, that's dumb, I realize what He did.
Yeah, life is hard, right? But we get to choose our hard, because whether we're, being in debt is hard, but being financially doing well with that's also hard, right?
Yeah,
it's hard
absolutely.
to be overweight, but it's hard to be fit. It's hard to communicate. It's hard not communicating. Like it's all hard, but we can choose our hard. And I just love what you're saying about if we just make those little choices and what seems like hard things, they might still be kind of hard, but somehow it just becomes so fulfilling.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you just see the fruit of that in your lives. So, Adam, what do you think's just been, the biggest thing that you want to teach your boys? Because you have 2 boys, and so in just what you've learned, how you grew up versus how you're raising them. What are some things that you're like, I just want to make sure they know this?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I would say hard work pays off. Not just in a business, financially, job perspective, but with everything in life, whether it's your hobby, whether it's your faith, whether it's your whatever it may be, you've got to put forth effort. There's always effort that has to be made.
That's it.
You can't expect somebody to give you anything.
Right.
And if you kind of live by that, and I feel like you get to what you want. You get you get what you want. You get what you deserve. As much effort as you put into it.
That's good.
And but I have 3 rules that I kind of live by with youth sports, and I feel, to me personally, that these rules help these kids for their entire life if they'll live by them. And the first rule is listen with your eyes and your ears. And the second rule is have fun. And the third rule is treat others like you want to be treated.
Yeah. Those are good ones.
Selfishness is rampant.
Yeah.
And I think if you can eliminate that, even if it's one human at a time, it's going to create a good environment.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest key for my boys. Of course, it's all the other stuff that comes with it. But
absolutely.
But if you can stay a hold of those things, you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
What I know is for sure about Cooper and Brody is that they see you are I feel like you are who you are through and through in any circumstance, at home, at church, on the field, at the job. That's what I've always thought about you, Adam, is that you're just consistent in who you are, and you really don't let the world change who you are. It's like you've decided this is who I am. And I'd love for you just to speak to maybe just encourage the business owner out there who's in the secular world, who deals with maybe people they're working with, their employees that are not believers. They don't understand the way that you process or who you are. What is your your strategy for leading a company and being a boss that has eternity in mind while you're making these just everyday decisions?
Absolutely. I think I led to this earlier, but I said I'm kind of where the rubber meets the road kind of a guy. I'm where your actions speak louder than your words kind of a guy. But so I like to make sure they see me, being a Christian, a true Christian, to me, that's probably the most important for my employees around me. But also, I incorporate the Lord. We have meetings, we pray, we, those type of things. We strive to, my goal is for us to serve the Lord when we're working, try to create that mindset of, we're not just going to our job every day. We're not just going to dump another load of dirt or whatever it may be. But to do it for the Lord, do it the best you can. Incorporate, interact with the customers and the people you see in that manner. But for me, to them is really my actions. I feel like is probably the best. And you don't want to be the pot calling the kettle black. You want to be that person that's doing the right thing, and they see that, and that creates that respect, that discipline, that need in a company environment. You know?
Yeah, it's hard. Just speaking as my husband owning a company, he's always told me how important it is that, he's willing to do the work alongside them. He's willing to apologize.
Yep.
I'm sure you're leading men that are older and younger than you.
Absolutely.
That requires, respect from you and respect given. And, I think, if we just really, like you're saying, just apply the just the very basic principles into our everyday life. That's really just how you live out your faith on the construction site, at the baseball field, because that's really the things that make the difference. It's not like it's not always at church on Sunday. It's Monday through Saturday.
Well, absolutely, and how you say that, church on Sunday. Jenny and I talk a lot about this, but the church is not four walls. The church is our community.
That's it.
And the more the people see that, man, it's okay for those people to say a prayer and thank the Lord for that ball game. Thank the Lord for their health and free of injuries and for the beautiful day that's out about. It's okay for that. People should do that.
Yeah.
The more people can see that and understand that and maybe be willing to do it themselves, just gives the glory to the Lord.
That's right.
And that's what we're about. So
that's right.
The Bible just talks about us. We can fulfill the law of Christ by bearing one another's burdens. And Adam, I think when I think about you, I feel like you just bear other people's burdens, but you do it because the Lord is carrying all the burdens for you. And so when you come alongside Jenny or your boys or on the baseball association, youth associations that you're a part of, and in your church, I just see you as someone who you take that weight on, but not because it's heavy and you resent it, but because you're happy to do that because you want to fulfill the law of Christ. And I just think that's so cool about you. So I want to know, what's something the Lord's just been speaking to you lately or encouraging you in or teaching you?
Yeah, probably lately is really, and it's understanding, what my family needs from me on more than a deeper basis of dropping a kid off from school and taking them to a sports practice, and it's really about what they need, spiritually, and how I give that to them in the way they need it at home.
Yeah.
They see me, they see me in the community and in business and, wherever that may be, at church, but what does that look like at home itself, Jenny and I talk about it a lot, and just how I can show them that deeper love than, the outside world, but do that at home, and I just, that's hard for me, believe it or not, because you see me on the outside and I'm very, very a people person, very, not necessarily aggressive, but just very assertive.
Yeah.
Just very energetic. I love
excited.
And, I think growing up, I never had that relationship that was created that makes it easy for me to do that at home.
Yeah.
It was a very, very kind of a tough love relationship from my grandfather down to my father down to me, and it's it's something that's not easy for me. It's just not. It's not so that's probably what I've really been dealing with the Lord the last 4 or 5 months. Just trying to figure out those ways and create those habits that it's kind of almost sad to say, but when I growing up, I don't know if I remember ever telling my grandfather I love him or having really a hug from my grandfather, to be honest with you. And it took a good while for me and my dad to create that relationship, Still kind of sometimes one of those weird things, where you're like, oh,
are we doing this or not?
And it's on both sides, and it's not that you don't know they love you. It's just the
actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely,
Show me.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So that's probably what I've been struggling with and growing in the most with me right now.
Yeah.
Personally.
That's good.
So.
Well, I think that's something we all have to constantly
Yeah.
practice, is how to truly love the people that God's given us to love, whether it's our spouses, our family, our coworkers. You know, that loving thing, it's a really nice thing to say, we love people, but then to show it and let our actions speak louder than words is sometimes harder thing to do.
That's right. And you always have that discipline versus, the love. It's always the hard part, and I feel like I was always, I responded to tough love, because maybe that's all I had, So that's a struggle too, It's just hard to, when to get that higher raised voice or not, or when to get the stick or when not to get the stick.
Yeah,
so,
true.
But it's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, the fruits of the Spirit, right? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control. But I think by self-control, you can see all the other fruits so much greater. So I love that that's something that you're trying to implement, live by, and teach to your boys. That's going to just multiply, Adam. So I'm just so thankful that you came on here today to share with us about your faith, your life, how you do it, such practical things just in your daily habits and the discipline. Just love it.
Practical is easy for everybody else to implement. It's easier for me to implement if you just make it real black and white. I love that.
And that's just you guys asking me to be a part of this is something that's it's really been a blessing to me, more probably than I believe it'll be for anybody else. But the Lord uses it. But that's what I pray for, that my actions will show the world Christ, and somebody to come to know Him like I did.
That's great.
So.
That's what all of our goals should be. Well, thank you so much, Adam.
Absolutely. You got it.
We'll see you guys next week.